everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions today from Twitter using the hashtag PAIV. Please answer in video. Let's get started today with the first one, which comes from WrestlingFan94. Do you think WWE could get fans more excited for SmackDown by making Daniel Bryan the general manager? I like the idea. If that's something that Daniel Bryan wants to do, then I think WWE should make it happen. It would be a nice change of pace to have a babyface general manager. I know Shane McMahon right now is doing that role, but one would think that there are going to be new general managers for Raw and SmackDown respectively, especially since WWE has been making such a big deal out of bringing back past general managers like Teddy Long. That seems to be the direction, that there will be new general managers running the shows. And the fact that Shane and Stephanie have been going back and forth saying, I'm going to run Raw, I'm going to run SmackDown, and then Vince comes in and says he's appointing new people to run Raw and SmackDown. If that's the case and that's the direction WWE goes in, then yes, I would love to see Daniel Bryan in that role. And the fact that Bryan is already getting involved with WWE again is a good sign. The fact that he's doing the Cruiserweight Classic commentary, that's a sign that he's starting to get back into things in the world of WWE. And I would like to see him do something. I think that having him as a general manager would be a nice way to utilize him without him actually having to wrestle. He can go out there and still be part of the show without doing the physical stuff. I'm all for it, but at this point, it's unknown if that's going to happen, if Bryan will be back, and if he even wants to get back involved at that level. This one comes from Daniel Jobber. Are they really killing Bray's babyface momentum to turn him heel just to job out to the New Day? I think WWE's not really sure what to do with Bray Wyatt. I think that WWE is just continuing the storyline that was originally planned for the Wyatt family. It was originally supposed to be the Wyatt family versus the New Day back in April before Bray Wyatt got hurt. And once that happened, once Wyatt got injured, WWE changed plans with that. It's weird because we are kind of in this era now where there are no baby faces and there are no heels. Everybody's a shade of gray. And maybe the idea here is that both guys are shades of gray. Both sides are shades of gray. The Wyatt family, they're not heels, they're not faces, they're just guys. Same thing with the New Day. That's how I see it right now, and I think it's just WWE going with that because that was originally planned at one point. And beyond that, who knows what direction Bray Wyatt is going in. I mean, I've gotten so many questions about him. Is he going to be back in the main events again? I don't know at this point. I have no idea what WWE has planned for him. I'm not even sure if WWE is planning to do Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. I mean, that is still a big question mark as well. This one comes from Jishnu. Hey Aaron, is the New Day in serious danger of losing the titles to the Wyatt family before breaking the all-time record? Well, the all-time record is Demolition, and I think that New Day would have to be champions until November or December to break that record. And I would be surprised if they hold on to the titles that long. They could end up losing the titles as soon as next month at Battleground to the Wyatt family, or maybe even losing to the club at SummerSlam. I know New Day is a couple of weeks away from breaking London and Kendrick's record, and that should be broken by the time of Battleground. I think like a week before Battleground is when New Day will officially surpass London and Kendrick's record as the longest reigning WWE champions of the current lineage of the titles. But when you're talking about all-time tag team championships in WWE, Demolition still has the record and New Day still has a way to go with that. This one comes from Edswoggle. Do you think the WWE 2006-2016 edition of Money in the Bank lived up to the hype the commentators gave it of being the best Money in the Bank pay-per-view of all time? I would say it was probably the second best Money in the Bank pay-per-view of all time. I would not say it was the first. I would not say it was better than 2011 with CM Punk winning the title, and just the atmosphere of that entire show being in Chicago. The crowd heat was just amazing for that pay-per-view, and there was no way that this year's Money in the Bank could top that. I mean, that was a one-of-a-kind situation with the CM Punk storyline and being in Chicago. It was one of those things that just magically happened. All the stars aligned, everything fell into place, and it was a historic show. And there's not going to be much that can be done to one-up that. With this year's Money in the Bank, it was a very good show, and the cash-in was very memorable. And the top three matches definitely delivered, but I would not say that any match on that show or any moment surpassed the CM Punk match with John Cena and Punk winning the WWE title and that whole storyline. This one comes from R. In your opinion, which cash-in would you say was better? Rollins at WrestleMania 31 or Ambrose at Money in the Bank? Or is it hard to compare the two? Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank took place at WrestleMania, and that right there puts it at a whole other level from Ambrose cashing in Money in the Bank. I would still say that Edge cashing in, the very first cash-in against John Cena, was the greatest Money in the Bank cash-in of all time, and that really set the standard. Rollins, I would say, is second place because of the fact that it was at WrestleMania, it was in the main event, and Seth Rollins won the title and celebrated with all the pyro in the stadium going off. And it was such a big moment when Rollins won the title on the biggest show of the year. And the fans loved that segment. They also loved Dean Ambrose winning the title. I would say that Dean Ambrose winning is easily third place because the fans really wanted to see it. The fans are happy about Ambrose becoming champion. And it was a big moment. It was a big moment for all three Shield members to be WWE champion on the same night. And it was historic. So I would say that that is easily number 3. And some would debate that it is number 2. Maybe even some will say it's number 1. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Let me know what you think, where that moment ranks compared to the other Money in the Bank cash-ins. This one comes from Big Homie White. If CM Punk loses his debut fight horribly, would that tarnish his WWE legacy? Not really, because CM Punk doesn't have the reputation that Brock Lesnar has of being a real fighter, and you have to keep in mind that Brock Lesnar did the NCAA before WWE, and he had a competitive sports background. With CM Punk, he was more or less doing the indies when he was a young man, and that was pretty much what he's been doing his whole life before he got into UFC, is WWE wrestling and indie wrestling. I think that many fans are expecting CM Punk to lose this fight, if anything. So it's not like him losing is going to be a huge shocker. With Brock Lesnar, the guy is just so massive and has the competitive sports background that you expect him to do well. Although now at his age, there's doubts that he'll be able to come back and be as successful as he once was. With Punk, you know, he's already shown that he doesn't really need to win or lose. He's just going to go out there and do his thing, and people will take it or leave it. And I'm sure people will make fun of him for losing, but I really doubt it's going to change anything. He's doing what he wants to do, and that's that. It is what it is. This one comes from Tim. At WrestleMania 28, Cena vs. The Rock was the main event. Do you think it would have been better if CM Punk was also in the match for the title? No, because John Cena vs. The Rock was a special attraction, and they made that match the year before. It would have been silly to change the match and put CM Punk in it just so you could have the WWE Champion in the mix. I think the way they did it was best. Maybe doing it a second time at WrestleMania 29 was a mistake. Maybe something should have been different there. Maybe CM Punk should have been added for WrestleMania 29 as a triple threat, or maybe even add Undertaker and do a fatal 4-way. To me, doing Cena versus The Rock again I wasn't a big fan of it, and it did not set the world on fire the second time around, in my opinion. So if you were going to add CM Punk, I would have done it for WrestleMania 29, not 28. This one comes from Ash. Why does everyone get mad when lines are blurred with heels and faces? To me, it's boring if every character acts the same way. Going back to earlier with the whole idea that there are no good guys or bad guys, everyone's a shade of gray, it's hard for that to work in wrestling. Sometimes it can work in nonfiction, in television shows or movies, but in WWE, I think you need to have clear good guys and clear bad guys. The fans need to know who to cheer for and who to boo for. With exceptions, sometimes you can do a face versus face match and the crowd is hot for both guys, or a heel versus heel match, although that is even more difficult. Generally, it's easier to make it clear who the fans should cheer for or boo for, and sometimes do the opposite, and the company wants you to think a certain way, but you're going to go a different way, as we've seen with John Cena and Roman Reigns over the years. I just think it's okay to do it a little bit, but like with the Wyatt family and New Day, it's confusing, and my fear is that fans will not care that much if they're not sure who to cheer for. And I would like a story where you have a protagonist and an antagonist. And you can do shades of gray to some degree and make it work. But you need good writing for that to happen also. I mean, like with Breaking Bad, I mean, Walter White was this ultimate shade of gray, but they had tremendous writing. And with WWE, you know, there's not much to it. It's very straightforward. And because of that, I think you really need to make it clear who the fans are supposed to cheer for and who they're supposed to boo. This one comes from Mark. Hey Aaron, what happened to the Authority? Are they still together, or does WWE want us to forget about them? I'm sure the Authority will always be around whenever WWE needs the Authority on television to complete a storyline. When it fits WWE's storyline plans, I think we'll see the Authority again. It's just a matter of time. It's on the shelf right now, but literally, we could have Triple H show up any day now with Stephanie and take over again as the Authority, and they have their corporate champion and the same storyline repeats itself. It could happen anytime. It could happen next week on Raw, next month on Raw, a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever. The Authority, there's always that possibility of them coming back at any time. This one comes from AJ Level Up. Hey Aaron, is it a good idea to keep the triple threat match for Battleground even when there will be no TV build-up for Reigns now? Definitely, they've already announced it, and I'm still looking forward to the match, even if Roman Reigns is going to be off television for 4 weeks. And if anything, it's good for his character because he's been on television every single week for years now, and we get a little bit of a break from Roman Reigns, which could be a good thing for him. And WWE can focus on Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and their storyline. It will be interesting, though, if WWE says something on television, and that is the one thing that surprises me, why WWE did not do an injury angle or something. If they knew that Reigns was going to be suspended, why not have him get taken out by Seth Rollins and they do an injury angle or something like that? It's going to be really weird if he's not around and there's no explanation what happened to him. You know, I would be surprised if WWE did mention that he was suspended. Maybe they will, who knows? This next one comes from Aaron. Which show did you prefer watching in the Monday Night Wars, Raw or Nitro? I had the advantage of being able to watch both shows back to back rather than have to choose one. I got the East Coast feed of Nitro on TNT at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern when it aired live. Raw was on tape delay at 9 o'clock West Coast time. I will say that I did enjoy Nitro more during the beginning of the Monday Night War when Nitro started, and then once Vader came in and WWE started doing the WrestleMania build, I was more interested in Raw. When Hall and Nash debuted in WCW, I was more interested in Nitro again, and I would stay more interested in Nitro until the time that Steve Austin and Bret Hart got their feud going, Once that feud took off, I was definitely more interested in Raw than Nitro almost every single week. Although I will say, around 1999, 2000, I was rooting for WCW to come back and get back in the game, but unfortunately, that did not happen. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend. Twitter.com, YouTube.com, Facebook.com, any social media site you go on. Please spread the word about No DQ&A video. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel at Aaron Rift No DQ, and also my personal channel at Aaron Rift, where you can check out my other videos on various other topics. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time for more No DQ&A video.